Okay, so I have two triangles here, two right angle triangles. Again, we're labeling them the side lengths of right angle triangles. Start with the hypotenuse because the hypotenuse is the easiest one to label. It's always going to be located across from the right angle. So which side length in the first triangle, we'll call this number 1. This is number 2. What is the measurement of the side length that is the hypotenuse? Which one is the hypotenuse in triangle 1? Good. This is hypotenuse. How did you know that? It's across from the right angle. In relation to this angle given, which side length is opposite that angle? Good, 3. Okay, and then obviously then, this is the only one left, and we can confirm because it's touching the angle, that is adjacent. I'm just putting short form. Yes, which one's the hypotenuse? Sorry? Good, this is the hypotenuse. It's across from the right angle, and then which one is opposite?
12 centimeters.
Good, it's opposite the angle, and then which one's adjacent?
16 centimeters.
Good. Now I want you to actually calculate. I want you to tell me what is the ratio, let's do the first one, of, let's start with opposite over hypotenuse, okay? So the ratio of opposite to hypotenuse. Remember, you can write a ratio as a fraction. So what is the value of the opposite side length for number 1? How many centimeters is opposite? 3. And the hypotenuse is?
5.
Okay, what's the ratio? What's 3 over 5? What's 3 divided by 5?
What?
0.6. For number 1, what's the ratio of, let's do adjacent over hypotenuse? What is the ratio of the adjacent side over the hypotenuse as a decimal? Okay, good. 4 over 5, good, equals? 0.8, good. Let's do triangle 2. Who can tell me the ratio of opposite over adjacent for triangle 2? So it's what? What's the fraction?
12 over 16.
12 over 16 equals?
0.75.
Okay, so let's do adjacent over hypotenuse. What is the adjacent side length? 16 over hypotenuse was 20. Sorry, yep. And what is that equal to? 8, thank you. 0.8. Good. Okay, so here I have 3 right angle triangles. How many sides does a triangle have? 3. Is there one side in a right angle triangle that you can automatically label? Do you guys remember this from grade 9?
No.
The longest side in a triangle is always referred to as the hypotenuse. Where is it located?
Across from the right.
Yes, exactly. Across from the right angle. So I want you to label the hypotenuse for all 3 triangles.
It's always across from the right.
Yeah, it's always across from the right angle. So here's the right angle. Across from that, I'm just going to write HYP for short. The hypotenuse, and then the third triangle across from the right angle is the hypotenuse. Okay, so we know this from grade 9, how to label the hypotenuse in a right angle triangle. Today you're going to be learning how to label the other 2 sides. They have specific names in relation to an angle that's given. So if I give you the measurement of this angle here, okay, I'm just going to put this symbol to indicate, okay, let's say you know this angle. The side that is across from the angle given, because it's opposite that angle, right? It's not touching that angle. That's referred to as the opposite. That's it. That's the opposite side length, okay? The opposite side length never touches the angle that's given. What if I have the other side length? Let's use a different color for this. Here's my other side length. And what do you notice about this side length? Is it opposite the angle or is it touching the angle? It's touching it. Anyone know the name for something that is lying next to the angle or touching it? This is referred to as the side adjacent. That means it's touching the angle. It's lying next to it. Okay, so I want you to label opposite and adjacent for the other 2 triangles that I have here. We'll say, for this one, I'm going to say that this is the angle given. And for this one, I'll say this is the angle given. You're naming them in relation to the angle, okay? Okay, so this side length here is opposite. Why?
That's the opposite.
It's not touching the angle. It's opposite the angle. And then obviously then the one that touches, it forms one of the legs of the angle is adjacent. Let's look at this angle here first. This side length, is it opposite or adjacent?
Is he still here?
Adjacent. I tried to trick you by putting blue there. It's actually adjacent because it's touching the angle given. And then this one would be the opposite side length. Okay? So what you've just learned is the primary trigonometric, or short form is trig. Trigonometry is a study of triangles, and you're learning the ratios. Okay, so there's 3 ratios that you need to know. So the first one is called the sine ratio. Okay, and if you look on your calculator, you should have this button, sine. And you're also going to learn the cosine, or on your calculator, it says cos. And what's the last one? Tan, which is the tangent ratio. Okay, these are the 3 ratios. 1, 2, 3. The sine ratio is equal to the opposite side length over the hypotenuse. That's a sine ratio. Cosine is equal to, I'll explain in a second, adjacent over hypotenuse. And tangent is equal to opposite over adjacent. And I'm going to show you a really easy way to memorize this. Easiest way to memorize this is SOHCAHTOA. Memorize this
I don't get it.
acronym, SOHCAHTOA. What do you think S stands for? Sine ratio. What is the sine ratio equal to? Opposite over hypotenuse. What's the next ratio? Cosine. What is that equal to? Adjacent over hypotenuse. AH. And the last ratio is tangent. What is that equal to? Opposite over adjacent. Memorize SOHCAHTOA, and you've memorized the trig ratios in order. Memorize it in order.